If you're an American citizen, or just enthusiastic about American $1 bills, then you should already know who George Washington is. He's the very first president of the United States of America, a noteworthy general during the Revolutionary War, one of the iconic faces of late winter car sales, and the reason there's a 550-foot phallic symbol towering over all our government buildings. But did you also know that he was the leader of the 3rd Street Saints? I bet you didn't. And here's 5 more facts about George Washington that you probably didn't know because I made them up. Number 1, he invented a dance trend. George Washington was considered by friends and family to be a very entertaining person. People would line up outside restaurants in the hopes of seeing him, and the reason why was because he had some serious dance moves, you guys. George's love for the art of dance started at an early age and blossomed into something truly special when he invented skanking. Many scholars believe that his interpretation of this 90s teen dance sensation was nothing short of transcendent. However, he was never truly acknowledged for his skill at the dance because ska music would not be invented for another 100 years or so. Number 2, he single-handedly stopped an entire armada of British soldiers using only one gun. Historians are fond of pointing out how adept Washington was at commanding his troops, but few take the time to focus on his single greatest standoff. That would be the time he held back an entire armada of British soldiers using only a single gun. Now, this might be because the gun in question was a 4-cannon turret armed with missiles, but hey, one trigger, one gun, am I right? The weapon was instrumental in holding back Britain's imposing armada of flying alien warships, or as they were known at the time, alien dirigibles. Number 3, he had an almost psychotic fear of hats. Modern mankind has learned to tolerate, and even in a few rare cases accept, that hats are a part of life. However, since hats weren't invented until 1824, when Sir Thaddeus Beauregard Hat discovered an alternative method of treating bedhead, they were still kind of a new thing. Like so many other things we take for granted in our modern age, such as tomatoes, fire, and witches, hats were viewed with fear and contempt by George Washington and his contemporaries, who would often stop whatever they were doing at the time to try and remove the offending headwear. Number 4, his cure for cancer was revolutionary but considered too uncouth by physicians of the time. George Washington knew that, as the country's very first president, he'd be spending so much time explaining what a president is that he'd only have enough free time left over to solve one world problem. Now, eating was considered a lavish luxury back then, so Washington took the more practical route and decided he wanted to cure cancer. Despite the proven efficacy of his swift punch to the plums theory, which to be fair was pretty ahead of its time, physicians decided not to engage in this practice, as it would require them to touch another man's privates. Number 5, he was the first and only president to openly oppose Scientology. Now, it might seem novel nowadays to have a president that openly opposes any single religion, but as it turns out, it was far more common back in the 1800s, with Washington setting a bold example by openly and aggressively fighting against the ancient and venerable religion practice known as Scientology. In fact, his open opposition of Lord Xenu swayed the populace against the religion so much that Scientologists were forced to invent Tom Cruise as a countermeasure. Sadly, Washington died before construction of Cruise could be completed, leaving the world vulnerable to the charismatic superweapon. And those are 5 facts about George Washington. Do you know any other fun facts about our first president? Are there any other presidents you'd like to know more fun facts about? Be sure to let me know in the comments, and of course, like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching.